Well, hello and welcome to another therapeutic nibble on PubSnax. And something that's been playing on my mind is Donald Trump actually a misunderstood economic genius? Or quite the opposite, and you can fill in whatever word you want to do there, because that could be seen as denigrating, and we don't want to be disrespectful because, as you know, we know he looks in. So if we have a quick look at just some of the evidence, for example, he's internally inconsistent. He rapidly changes his mind, says one thing, does another, and maybe this is a sign of some kind of superhuman mental agility. And I don't really know. I can't really identify genius. I don't claim to be one, and I'm not really sure if that is a sign of it or not. Then there's the fact that he's actually done something which denies all the historical evidence and all the historical data. But the fairly universal acceptance is that blanket tariffs, not targeted ones, but blanket tariffs, increase prices, reduce competition, and actually invite retaliation, which is, again, gets you into a reinforcing cycle. And most economists would agree on that, at least, for blanket tariffs. And in fact, before he was elected, 16 Nobel laureates, some of whom probably are geniuses, did look at his plans and all agreed this was a really, really bad idea and would probably lead the US economy, maybe even the global economy, into a recession. So that's probably weighing in the against box. Then if we actually look at his tariffs themselves and how he came to them, it's about if there's a trade deficit. So if your country sells more to the States and doesn't buy more back, that determines the size of the tariff he was going to put on you. And I'm thinking one of the biggest tariffs was on Madagascar. Now it just happens that Madagascar has a really great climate for growing vanilla. And its principal export is vanilla, and its principal purchaser of that is the United States, because Americans like ice cream, who doesn't? And they need the vanilla to do that. Now, Madagascar doesn't buy much from the United States. There's a couple of reasons for that. The principal one is that the main population of Madagascar is lemurs. Lemurs don't have a big use for crude oil, nuclear reactors, or high-end weapon systems. And that's mainly because they're lemurs, but those are also the main exports from the United States. So again, I think we'd have to load that one in the negative box, because it doesn't make a great deal of sense how you'd come to a tariff on lemurs, basically. Even after, at this point, Trump has withdrawn the tariffs, or at least suspended them for 90 days, he has maintained a 125% tariff on China. And if there was one country I wouldn't pick on, it would be China. And here's a couple of reasons for it. The first is that China can actually retaliate with its own tariffs, and it can keep going for a long, long time. And one of the reasons for that is, unlike the United States, China is not a democracy. You can dissent if you want as a Chinese individual in China, but it's probably not going to get you very far. And the administration isn't going to change their mind, and they can keep doing that. Whereas Trump, ultimately, although it's gravitating towards autocracy, does operate in a democracy where the opinion of the populace matters, and he could actually get voted out in the midterms, which are, or at least disempowered in the midterms, his party undermined in Congress in the midterms about 18 months from now. So he'd be sensitive to that. So, but China can have a time horizon long beyond that. The other thing is that it just so happens that China owns, and is the second largest owner after the US government, of US government debt. So when the US government needs to raise money, it goes to the money markets and borrows. And the principal lender is China. And China has 760 billion worth of US debt. The problem with that is if you really poke that particular hornet's nest, China could demand their money back. And that could drive down the value of holding US debt. And to persuade other people to hold on to your debt, you'd have to pay them more interest. And the US is one of the most heavily indebted countries in the world. 16% of their income goes on paying debt, which could massively go up if China decides to exercise the nuclear option and dump all of this US debt. Trump at some point wants to fund some tax cuts. And I don't think he's joined the dots between the fact that if China does this, then interest rates go up, interest payments on debt go up, it'd be impossible to fund his tax cuts. So that, I think, also has to go in the negative column, that Trump is probably not a genius. I think ultimately what it comes down to here is why has he gone down this route with tariffs? And again, I think, which goes into the negative column, is, and it's only my opinion, just in case you're looking in, Donald, and nothing but respect, nothing but love for you, don't know you personally. If tax is like a really big word for you, hard to spell, then tariffs makes you look clever. And I think that's actually the level we're at. Anyway, so there you go. Is Trump a genius, or another word, fill in your own blank in that? I have to say, on the basis of the available evidence, I have to come down on the not. Anyway, on that note, it's the weekend's coming up. Hopefully he's going to be playing some golf, and we'll be back to let you know how he gets on at some point next week. We'll see you then.